Alongside Adam Lauridsen, I'm Ravi Kapur. After a tremendous Game 5 of the NBA Finals, 111-108 the final, the Miami Heat extend the series. We thought we'd have a coronation tonight, but the Heat played well enough throughout the evening with some incredible clutch plays by Jimmy Butler and Robinson, among others. And we're going to have a Game 6, which really didn't look likely at certain points in this game.
It was a tremendous basketball game. I think both teams have to be really impressed with the performance. It's what you love to see in an elimination game, both teams leaving it all out there. Butler, as you mentioned, was incredible. LeBron as well had a massive game. They were defending each other down the stretch. They were scoring over each other or not scoring over each other down the stretch, thanks to great defense. For the NBA, I think everybody won tonight. You get more basketball, you really had a marquee performance.
Jimmy Butler, phenomenal night. We've been talking about it really since his tremendous Game 3 performance where he'd have to have 35 or 40 a night. He had 35 to go with 12 rebounds and 11 assists, a triple-double. Phenomenal performance by him. But it was countered by LeBron James, who I think had his best game of the series with 40 points, was just knocking down three-pointers all night long. And when LeBron plays like that, you just automatically think, okay, the Lakers are going to pull this thing out. But, one thing that did happen that did stunt the Lakers a little bit, Anthony Davis got hurt late in the first quarter. He was out for a couple of minutes. He did come back. He had 28 points, but it was a fairly quiet 28. And the Heat were able to maintain a lead for most of the game. And then in the fourth, the Lakers made their run. And it really comes down to a couple of critical plays at the end of the game.
The physical toll that the bubble has taken on these players, the relentless nature of the schedule, it's really starting to register. Like you said, Davis, potentially injured, could be a story for Sunday's game. We don't know how healthy he's going to be. Butler played 47 minutes and 12 seconds. That's an Iron Man game on his part. That will take its toll. His legs will feel that on Sunday. And even LeBron, we're used to seeing him having huge fourth quarters, big games for elimination. He was playing physically. He wasn't hanging out on the perimeter. He was attacking the basket, mixing it up down low. He thought that this was his opportunity to finish them off, so he was giving it all. Sunday, it's going to be a question of how much they have left at this point. It's a bit of a war of attrition right now.
Let's talk about that last sequence here where the Lakers have the ball down by a point. LeBron James gets the ball. I mean, in a situation, if you're a Lakers fan, this is where Kobe Bryant or any one of their previous superstars, Magic would probably have the ball in his hands. And in this case, again, LeBron, as he does typically, he defers to an open shooter, and he found Danny Green, who clanked the shot, and the Lakers just fumbled the possession away. Talk about that possession and what that demonstrated about the Heat and the Lakers.
You can never fault a player for making a smart basketball play. LeBron had an open man. He created space. He kicked the ball out to take advantage of that. And I think it was the right move. There's always been the question about whether LeBron's had enough support around him. Green had hit those shots. There were other players on the Lakers who had hit those shots. So I think you take your chances on that. Sometimes it goes in, sometimes it doesn't, but you play for the good shot, which is what he found. Both teams played smart basketball games. I think there were some execution errors down the stretch, but all in all, it was a highly executed game.
And, of course, Bam Adebayo, still not at 100%. He's not playing at the level he was in the Eastern Conference Finals. He had 13 points. But let's talk about Duncan Robinson. This guy, really undrafted second-year player, really tremendous, 26 points. He hit 7 out of 13 three-pointers, and he really looked like that second guy that Butler needs if the Heat are going to pull this thing out.
On any given night, if they can get a shooter to spread the court, it really opens things up for Butler. As we've seen, he's not a three-point shooter. He likes to penetrate. He likes those mid-range jump shots if he can get some space. So anything you can do to stretch the defenders to make them pull out to the three-point line is going to open that up. Whether it's Crowder, Robinson, Hero, anybody on the Heat, Iguodala even, who can start hitting some three-pointers, that's going to help their offense flow more smoothly.
Well, Iguodala played. There was only 7 Heat players tonight. Spoelstra really kept the rotation tight. Iguodala didn't even score, but he made some really nice defensive plays and seemed to get in some foul trouble, but he was there down the stretch. What do you think of Spoelstra's rotation? I mean, he got a lot early from Kendrick Nunn, who's played really well as a young player. Again, another former Warrior. And then in the second half, Robinson turned it on. So talk about the Spoelstra rotation. Was that an adjustment just because this was a do-or-die game?
It was a terrific adjustment. I think it was brilliant. Spoelstra's a terrific coach and really made a smart move. he recognized that while Olynyk and Leonard had their moments, they were inconsistent. They were always going to give up something up on one half of the game, whether defense or offense. So he went with his 7 best players, and he went small and forced the Lakers to adapt. Took Howard off the court. They were able to contain Davis for most of the game, partially because of the injury, but also partially because of aggressive physical play by their smaller guys. And they managed to succeed. It was the 7 best players they could put on the court. They gave people the opportunity to step up. And like you said, whether it was Nunn, whether it was Robinson, they got the performances they needed to extend the season.
Let's talk about Game 6 now. The Lakers certainly are going to be frustrated looking back at the game film and thinking, man, they had a shot to wrap up the title, and it's hard to win that clinching game. We know that, as we've observing basketball for many, many years now. But certainly they're in the driver's seat for Game 6. Anthony Davis looks dinged up. Do they still have enough to get over the hump, or did Miami find something tonight? Again, once again, another victory. The first game they won wasn't a fluke, and winning tonight against shows that the Heat can match up with the Lakers.
Yeah, I think if both teams were play, still have an advantage and probably get it done in Game 6, just because Davis and LeBron are 2 otherworldly talents and they have enough role players to contribute. Bam was good, is playing, but looks like he's still feeling the effects. He missed a lot of easy shots. Butler is going to wear down at some point. He's just getting crushed every single game, playing massive minutes. I think the Lakers ultimately come out on top, but it's been an admirable performance by the Heat. And who knows? Anything can happen. They're in these fights. When you make it a close game down the stretch, it's really the flip of a coin sometimes, and the Heat could come out ahead still.
And one thing that we don't know about is if Goran Dragic will make an appearance in Game 6. I mean, he is still fighting to get back on the court. How effective will a guy who can't really run effectively on a bad wheel? It's hard to tell, but you got to admire the Miami Heat heart. They certainly played extremely well, and I'm personally thrilled for Game 6. This is the way it should be. The 2 best teams fighting it out, and I look forward to recapping that one. We have another game to talk about. The Heat pull it off. Adam and I will be back after Game 6.